Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of Instacar HK. Today, I'm reviewing this 1990 Porsche 964 Carrera 4. Now, all of you will recognize the 964 being one of the last air-cooled 911s ever made. It is also the most recognizable, if not the most iconic 911 ever made. Now, for those of you who have followed me for a while, you would know that not long ago, I owned a 1980 911 SC, and I also did a review video of it, which I'll share here. And in my review video, I told you guys that the 911 SC was actually intended to be the last ever 911 by Porsche, because at that time, Porsche was starting to transition their model line into the front-engine water-cooled 928. But as I mentioned in the review video, the 911 SC outsold the 928 by a few folds, after which Porsche decided that it was silly to discontinue the 911 line. So they continued it, and as they say, the rest is history. Now, after my 911 SC, there was the new version being the 911 3.2, which was still part of the G series Porsche with the impact bumpers. But in 1989, Porsche came out with this brand new 911 model, being the 964. It is, of course, a lot more modern than the G series. You no longer see the impact bumpers. It looks a lot more sleek, a lot more modern. Now, this car is actually 85% new. It has 85% new parts compared to the Carrera 3.2. The 964 was produced between 1989 to 1994, after which, of course, came the last air-cooled model being the 993. Now, there is something special with the 964 at the time when it came out, namely being two very important new technology. One is the four-wheel drive system, which this car, the Carrera 4, has, the four-wheel drive system. And also for the first time in a 911, they introduced the automatic gearbox, which this car does not have because all Carrera 4s come in manual. Now, so very exciting. I always like reviewing a 911, let alone a air-cooled one. So without further ado, let's get into the car and try it out. All right, so it's time to go for a drive. Oh, that classic Porsche door opening and closing sound, so distinctive. You know, you just know you're in a Porsche, and I do miss that, I must say. I had to sell my 911 SC because I moved to Singapore, and I can't have keep too many classics, so I decided, of course, to keep the Ferrari 308 instead. Let's start the car. So it's a 1990 car, so very modern, relatively. You know, obviously fuel injection and all that. Starts in first go. The car is already warmed up. It has aircon, thank God. So immediately when you sit in here, you know, you feel the size is small. The old 911s are small cars, but they don't feel, you know, claustrophobic. So you're fine. Like, you don't feel like, oh, I'm in such a small car. Very good size. This has the aftermarket steering wheel, very nice. So the owner actually did the bare metal repaint for the car when he bought it. He also redid all the interior, including these very nice Recaro seats, all new but correct Porsche leather. So the car, you know, feels very, very new and nice. And like I said, start at first go. Now, the moment you sit in any of these old 911s, is you feel your legs are slanted towards the left, especially for these right-hand drive ones. Part of it is because it's right-hand drive, and also because the wheel well is in the way. So you're a bit slanted, but it's okay. It doesn't feel too off. Clutch, this car got a very good clutch. Obviously, as an old car, you know, it has some weight to the clutch, but very easy to use, very easy to modulate. Let's go. Very easy to take off the clutch. The biting point is like many of these old 911s are on a relatively high point, but not so high that it feels weird. So the clutch is nothing hard to get used to. I've been driving it for the whole morning, and easy. Look, so easy. I'll just take off like that. Let's go. Steering feels good. Got a very good weight to it. The gear shifts. Very solid, very nice. But you know, it feels a bit short, but not not really intentionally short, short shifter type, but very easy to go through, except for, this morning when I was driving it, it was very easy to go from second to fifth instead of second to third. But then I realized once I relax when I go from second to third, just let the spring do itself, let the shifter do itself, and then it will go to third gear easily. Much better than the gearbox I had in the 911 SC. You see in my review video back there, I really wasn't a fan of the old 911 SC gearbox. The one thing though, the rear view mirrors feel so small. Like it's really hard to look, to see much distance, much width from the rear view mirror. That's one of the things I noticed. So I always have to look back as if I'm driving my Triumph, where I don't have a rear view mirror on the left. It's almost similar to that. But anyway, there's some traffic. Seems like the whole of Singapore is out today. All right, we finally got away from the traffic jam, some open roads now. The 964 is obviously like most of the air-cooled 911s, is a air-cooled flat 6 engine, naturally aspirated in this instance, and 5-speed gearbox with 3.6 liter, producing about 250 horsepower. Now there's some straight second gear. Let's see how fast it goes. Goes through these uneven roads very nicely, no noise from the suspension or anything. The suspensions have been upgraded to KW adjustable ones. As you do, no one really keep the original ones. They will be pretty short by now. So yeah, we had a bit of fun, second gear all the way to fourth gear just now. Brakes are very good. You can hear the brakes squeaking, but the brakes are very good. Original brakes, but I'm sure it's on some very nice pads. But just now you see I was going from second gear, pedal to metal, to fourth gear, and now it does only have 250 horsepower. This is, again, I'll show you. Very good brakes. Okay, haven't driven an old 911 for a while. Totally botched my heel and toe there. But yeah, as I was saying, so it's a 3.6 liter flat 6 engine with 250 horsepower. It's not the turbo variant, so it was never going to be super fast and super powerful. I think the spec-wise is quite similar to that of my 308 and actually closer to my X328. I think they're closer in age. So the sort of entry-level Ferraris, Porsches of that era, they were never explosively fast. But this car, it's still pretty respectable for its age, mainly because it's light. It is a light car, so it does pick up speed rather quickly, even though it doesn't have like enormous torque. But one thing is, I feel the power band is quite linear. Like I was expecting maybe at some point 4,000, 5,000 RPM, you will feel like a significant power surge, but no, it just goes all the way from 2,000 RPM all the way to redline without much drama. It's very linear power delivery. So some background, the owner is a new friend I met him at the Classic Ferrari group. He has a few very nice toys. And we start chatting. He's a viewer of my YouTube channel. I'm very thankful for that. And we're chatting, and he basically said, "Hey, you know what? Why don't you take my 964 C4 to the Clash of Classic event, which you have seen in my last video. That was the Classic Ferrari and Porsche event here in Singapore." And so I was like, sure, and why not do a review video of it while I'm at it, naturally. So he bought this original Singapore 964 back about 3 years ago, and he did say when he bought it, the car was quite aged. It was it was in need for some TLC, and TLC it got. The original color was a sort of burgundy color, the new owner told me, which he didn't really like, so he repainted the car, bare metal respray, to this beautiful aqua blue color, which I think fits the 964 very well. The aqua blue, not only is it not original to this car, I don't think it's even an original 964 color. It could be a later model, but in any event, fits very nicely. And then he did all the mechanical work, engine out, rebuild, the usual. And like I said, the interior. So the car, honestly, I'm not being nice because it's a friend's car, but the car feels very solid. It feels very solid. Everything, like I said, from the clutch pedal to the steering, to the opening and closing door, to the interior, no rattle noise. The car just feels very, very solid. There's aircon. It's not very hot, the aircon. I think, especially today, right now, it's very hot. I think it's about 36 degrees. All right, now, with some really clear roads ahead, ready from some pedal to the metal, first gear. See, it's really linear. It's not dramatic. The power band just comes in very smoothly. There's two corners here. Some elevation changing and elevation, but the car takes it very well. It's not fast. It's honestly not fast by today's standards. But like all classic 911s, it's very engaging. The car feels very light. And speaking of classic 911s, there's a reason they have such a good following, because they are such interesting cars. The way they sound, the way they rumble. Listen to how this flat six is rumbling in the red light. It's very distinctive. Got a character which is really distinctively classic Porsche. The most experience I've had in a classic 911 is, of course, my former SC, which I do miss. It was a shame I had to sell it. But this one, when you compare the two, they're about 1.5 generations apart. But this one is clearly a lot more refined in terms of the interior, rattling noises. This one doesn't have much. And in terms of the engine, the sound deadening, this one's much better. This just feels like a much more refined car. Whereas the 911 SC, being a decade or so older, it does feel a bit more raw. There's more rattling noise from the engine, more mechanical noise, which, to be honest, I do prefer. Candidly, I do prefer the driving experience of the 911 SC. It's slower than this for sure, but as I've said many times before, for these classic cars, it's not about speed. It's always about the feel, and the older you go, the better. Alright guys, so we're in the early morning and it's cooler, so let's go. Also found some twisties. Oh, that car is quite solid. So the reason for the abrupt change in scenery and roads and in the clothes is because I was trying out testing the car yesterday, as you guys know, and the performance, straight line speed and whatnot, was just a little bit underwhelming. And then today I'm out in the morning without traffic, and I realized the car is a totally different car. It's a totally different car. When you step on it, so much more responsive. And then, yesterday I was saying the power delivery was very linear without not much drama. Today, the car in cooler weather and more open traffic, it transformed. The car really picks up, really goes through the power band nicely, and past 4,500 RPM, there is this power surge, not like a turbo kick, but you do feel a power surge. And today I'm in some twisties as well. The car is really planted in corners, you know, of course thanks to the four-wheel drive system as well. So I thought, you know, I had to make this segment because otherwise I just wouldn't be doing the car justice. Even the aircon was performing very well today. So you have another corner. You just place the car and then turn into the apex, really planted with the four-wheel drive. Good brakes, like I said. Oh, all the way to the red line. It is a different car. It is a really different car, and I'm glad I had this opportunity to try it out in a much more suitable environment. Because frankly, yesterday in sort of the midday 36-degree weather and the traffic, you know, stop and go traffic, it really didn't do the 964 justice, and I really didn't get the 964 magic when I was doing that. Today is much better. Let's go again. See, it was really alive after 4,500 RPM. So yeah, I'm glad I did this. Still, I do stand by my comments about the car being much more refined than its G series cousins, including my SC back then. So in that sense, it's much more refined. It is not as raw, relatively. I mean, it's still a very raw car. It is a 90s Porsche, air-cooled. So it's still a very raw car. Here, let's give it some more juice. Nice. In conclusion, I now get the 964 air-cooled magic. I do. And especially this one is original. This one is not modified. It has even original exhaust, and it still provides a pretty reasonable level of performance. So you can imagine if for those, you know, who has bigger air boxes, aftermarket exhaust and whatnot, the car will be even more exciting and dynamic. I'm very happy. I mean, yesterday was a bit of a wasted opportunity because it was in bad weather, but I'm glad I did it. I'm glad I did it because I was able to test the car in different environment, including very hot weather. Turns out the air-cooled 964s do not like hot weather, which is hardly comes as a surprise. And so yeah, I did enjoy this 964. I'm really glad I got to drive it around for the weekend. If you guys enjoyed this video as much as I enjoyed the car, please give us a like, please subscribe, please remember to click the bell button next to the subscribe button so you know when our next episode is. Thank you and have a good day.